Hey guys, this is Joshua Seth, voice of Tai on Digimon, and you're listening to Anime Secrets.
Toku Secrets is a podcast run by the Anime Secrets website. Check us out at animesecrets.org for more anime, video game, tokusatsu content. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts today.
Oh yes, this is Goldar, and you're listening to Toku Secrets Podcast. Don't tune us out, tune us in.
Welcome to Toku Secrets. Join us as we journey into the marvelous world of Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, Power Rangers, and many other tokusatsu. Get ready for the adventure of a lifetime. It's Morphin time! Link to the Morphin. I'm Nathan Desai, the dazzling adventurer, Spoken Silver.
I'm Patrick Allen, I'm Shinken Red.
And I'm Ridwan Merchant, Gokai Red.
And I'm Anthony Davis, also known as Curie Green. And we're Toku Secrets.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Toku Secrets podcast presented by animesecrets.org. And today we are doing episode number 8 of our review series of Chouriki Sentai Ohranger, our penultimate episode of Ohranger at that, where we are going to be taking a look at episodes 39 through 44. Last time we took a look at everything up to 43, where a couple of things happened, to kind of shape up what we're going to be taking a look at today. And for better or worse, we actually do have a lot of things to talk about for this podcast. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. But of course, we're going to start off with recapping everything that happened in the previous batch that we took a look at. Where we started off, we had a big fight with Bacchus Wrath. He tried to unleash an army of super machine beasts, but the Ohrangers, they had these new humanoid mechs called the Blocker Robos, and they were able to infiltrate a base that Bacchus Wrath was making them on, and they destroyed it. And then they were able to combine the Blocker Robos to form O-Blocker, and with that mech, they destroyed Bacchus Wrath, so Bacchus Wrath is dead. And with his death, a former Baranoia general named Bomber the Great, he previously tried to pull a coup against Bacchus Wrath, but then got exiled, and now he's come in and he's assumed leadership over the Baranoia. Hysteria and Buldont are still there, but they're kind of secretly plotting to take him out. The Ohrangers got a support mech called Taco Boy. And they also encountered this mysterious statue called Gunmajin, he's brought to life from the key. He grants wishes to people who holds the key. He had put into a fight with the Ohrangers, but then he was redeemed, and now he's fighting alongside the Ohrangers. Sort of like his key disappeared into the unknown, but spoiler alert. For the rest of the series, Gunmajin is going to be showing up in this like Deus Ex Machina type of way. It's super annoying. Just kind of a preview of what we're going to be getting. But with that said, we're going to jump in with episode 39. The Prince dies in a duel. This is the first of a 3-part story arc revolving around a battle between Buldont and Bomber the Great, where as the episode opens up, 100 days have passed since Bacchus Wrath died, and that results in Bomber the Great invoking Baranoia law to challenge Buldont to a duel. Whoever wins becomes the new emperor. Bomber the Great wins. He beheads Buldont, and he straps Hysteria to a missile with his head in her arms, and he launches her away. So Bomber the Great formally declares himself emperor and prepares to his own invasion of Earth. And he unleashes this powerful dog called the beckoning dog. It's basically this big dog, and this should sound pretty familiar if you've seen Zeo, where it's a dog that can turn things into pure gold. It was called the Midas Hound in Power Rangers. And he's aiming to turn everything into gold, food, and water as well in order to slowly kill humanity. While the Ohrangers are fighting the beckoning dog, the missile holding Hysteria on Buldont, it crashes onto a planet where Hysteria can hear Bacchus Rap's voice, and she stumbles into a lab that contains his disembodied head in a tank. And the episode ends with, the Ohrangers being overwhelmed by the beckoning dog. All of their mechs have been turned into gold. Shohei, just a couple of other things. Shohei does not transform into Ogreen in this episode. And what's becoming pretty common trend here is that Ricky, once again, nowhere to be seen because he's useless. But yeah, that's all about this episode. What do we think about this one?
Where was you when I needed you?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
One of the things, this is a complaint with this part and the second part of this is the main focus of this two-parter, or the first two parts of this, should be the Bolt Hunt story, but this stupid gold dog thing, I don't care for this. Like, they should have spent this is the beginning of a crucial moment in the story for the villains, and it feels like that part of this story, this three-parter, is like pushed to the side a little bit here, and I'm not a fan of that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the villain story was actually really good,
Mm-hmm.
but the dog, bad dog. That's all I'm gonna say with that damn dog.
Like when Zeno tried to adapt this episode, all they did was just adapt the dog stuff. Like, oh, Bulk and Skull got this dog, and they're going around and they're turning things into gold. Isn't that funny? But they didn't really adapt any of the villain stuff. It's like there's a reason why Zeno only adapted that, and it was just a stupid comic relief episode.
Exactly.
But yeah, it's mostly just kind of a setup for the next couple of episodes, so it's kind of difficult to talk about this one until we move on to the other ones. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. I feel like the whole, like, I get what they're trying to do with the beckoning dog thing, and when you really think about it, it can be horrifying, but I just feel like it's way too campy for it's just way too campy for an episode that has some really big plot implications.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It feels like because the main story stuff is centered around the villains, they didn't want to give it the full focus.
Yeah.
So they came up with filler arc type of, or filler episode level plot for the Ohrangers to get involved in.
Yeah. Which honestly, that's probably a terrible example of it, because I mean, reading villain episodes, like episodes that revolve almost exclusively around the villains, is really difficult because you also have to have like a subplot to give the Rangers something to do. Like they would have a lot of episodes like that in like I mean, probably like one or two episodes in like Geki Ranger, where like Rio and Melee were almost certainly just the main characters, and the Geki Rangers were just out doing some stupid stuff. And same thing with Jungle Fury, like when they adapted those episodes, like that episode that revolved around Camille wanting to prove her loyalty to Daishi, while Casey, Lily, and Theo were just trying to run the restaurant while RJ is out of town. But at least that was entertaining. This just simply isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is another thing that I wish more seasons during this era took from Jetman. When the villains in that season got villain focus episodes, they dedicated themselves to it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And
great.
it's like these are the seasons preceding it, and they wanted to emulate Jetman's success. Well, why didn't they just do that?
Yeah.
I don't
Doesn't
get
make any
it.
sense.
Yeah. But as for this episode, I'd probably say a 6 because I love the Bolt Hunt stuff that we're going to be getting into, but the rest of it just really holds it back.
I'll give it a 6 too.
Yeah, 6 I think is appropriate.
Yeah, I'll give it a 6, and I also have a comment on Ricky being absent here for y'all.
Yeah.
There's a simple explanation for that.
I'm wondering when that voice clip would finally find its way into this podcast.
Well, surprised you didn't use the rock one.
Which one?
Rock.
The far too
from
complex for you to understand.
Oh, okay. I always get him mixed up with the other ones.
Yeah.
I get him mixed up with Mavra, and I was like, what does Mavra have to do with this?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But,
we're good.
Anyway, let's move on to part 2 of this 3-parter. Arrival, the Mysterious Princess. That's episode 40, where Shohei and multiple civilians, they've been turned to gold, and the Baranoia tries to melt them down, but then Gunmajin appears, because like I said at the beginning, he's basically just going to be a Deus Ex Machina type of character from here on out. He appears, he frees them. The Ohrangers destroy the beckoning dog. It transforms into a machine beast called Baragold. And then they defeat that with a King Pyramid or battle formation. Bomber the Great tries to flee as his plan is completely foiled. But then the Ohrangers and Gunmajin stop him. But then this new mysterious female bell-wielding machine beast appears and attacks everyone. She stops Bomber the Great. She introduces herself as Princess Multiwa. She is Hysteria's niece. And for all the Zeo fans out there, this was Princess Fortuna. That's Multiwa's counterpart. And meanwhile, at the lab, Hysteria transfers all of Bacchus Raph's remaining energy as well as her own to make modifications to Buldont. Buldont is revived. And as this is happening, Hysteria mourns for the loss of her husband, and we only see a silhouette. I'll go into more detail on what the adult form is when we review the next episode. But Buldont is revived and emerges in a new adult form, and we'll see that adult form more broadly in the next episode. But what do we think about episode 40 for now?
It's just more setup because they were stretching this reviving Bolt. I forgot how stretched thin they were on revealing Bolton's adult form. Because I don't remember this being a 3-parter, but man, they could have easily just done the whole Bolt Hunt thing in one episode, then maybe have a filler episode doing the whole gold dog thing, and then the third part could be the full reveal of him and Multiwa. I felt like that would have been paced better.
Oh, what I was about to say is that doesn't it feel like the part of the episode where Multiwa's attacking the Ohrangers felt like it was what's the word for it? What's what I'm looking for? Padding? Is that making sense?
No.
No,
because she was just shooting the crap out of them like several times. Like, Jesus Christ.
Well,
how many things are gonna hit?
And it's interesting because me and Nathan debated later on about something else that kind of contradicts this moment.
Oh yeah, really? Yeah, but
you know what I'm talking about, right? Nate?
The in-game arc, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the more I think about it, the fact that they introduced Multiwa in such an intimidating type of way, like she's overpowering the Ohrangers, but then how she does later on in the arc, it's like that's actually really inconsistent the more I think about it.
What?
I thought about it a while back.
She becomes more of like the girly type in the finale.
Yeah.
Oh, that, and also it's like, I mean, to kind of
let's hold that until the end game arc.
Yeah, I'm actually curious to where you're going with this.
We have a whole thing. We'll wait.
Okay.
it's not super deep stuff, but
It actually is a bit more deep than that, but carry on.
okay, yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny how like you know, I pointed out when I was reviewing this how most of this episode revolves around the Ohrangers battling against the beckoning dog while they're just kind of dragging out the Buldont stuff, and it's kind of sad how I'm watching this episode and it's all like, yeah, okay, the Ohrangers are battling some dog. Can we see more of the Buldont stuff? And I'm just thinking,
Mm-hmm.
why am I annoyed that I want about having to watch the stuff that the Ohrangers are doing and want to see what the villains are doing?
Hey, you know what this reminds me of, guys? To a lesser extent?
I'm afraid.
I know exactly what he's talking about.
When's the last time Rizwan rooted for the villains?
And Geki Ranger.
Exactly. And this is to a lesser
Yeah.
extent because I didn't have as much interest in the Messine Empire as I did in the whatever they're called in Geki Ranger. It's not important because that season's not important.
Well, yeah, but I mean, Rio and Melee were far more interesting characters than any of the
Exactly.
Baranoia. So
Yeah. But no, it's turning into I don't really care about the Ohrangers, but at least the villains are getting some cool story moments here, which is more than I can say about the Ohrangers. They have no story
Yeah.
so far.
That's why I said last podcast episode or two ago when we were talking about Bacchus Rast defeat and how this was leading to what I think is the best aspect of Ohranger. What they do with Bolt Hunt from here to the end is the best thing this season does.
Yeah.
and honestly, I kind of hope that I mean, I'm sure that they probably will do this because they kind of already do this in the audio drama as well. But I would really hope that Carl Dutton tries to like emphasize a power struggle between. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he'll bring in Louis Gaboon. Maybe he won't. But if he does, I really hope that they try to adapt this element from Ohranger because it's the best thing that
Yeah.
comes out of the season.
Yeah, and it kind of makes me infuriated looking at how they handled Zeo, that Bolt Hunt's two forms were two different characters in Zeo.
Yeah.
I wish that they stuck with how it was done here.
And then not bring King Mondo back after you killed him
Yeah,
off.
what the heck was that decision? Why did they do that?
They use that excuse of them being machines that could just easily repair themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the reason why they brought him back was because, like, they bring him back in the episode that adapts the Ohranger versus Kaku Ranger movie, because the Ohranger versus Kaku Ranger movie, which we're gonna have to review after we review Kaku Ranger, but that movie has Darkest Wrath present. But here's the thing: I mean, first of all, okay, that Bacchus Wrath is present in that movie, but you don't have to use the footage of Bacchus
Yeah,
Wrath
you don't
from
have
that
to.
movie. Yeah, I mean, because that movie can only be considered non-canon because Taco Boy and O Blocker are present, even though Bacchus Wrath is alive and he got killed literally at the same time that O Blocker debuted. So, the Ranger versus Taco Ranger is another one of those season. But plus, not only that, but I feel like I'm pretty sure at the end of Taco Ranger it implies that like they don't have their Doron changers anymore. So there's the
Yeah, they were
question
used.
of
Yeah, they were used as the seal, so they don't have them anymore.
yes, and yet they all of a sudden have them back and can transform. So Ohranger versus Taco Ranger, spoiler alert for that podcast, is one of those movies that just can't be considered canon. But
Yeah.
again, Saban, you didn't have to use the footage of Bacchus Wrath in that movie. So, but yeah, this power struggle again. It's the one thing I remember. I remember mentioning it way back like 2 years ago when we did our 20 our history of Super Sentai review, mentioning that's the only thing that I remember about this season. And I mean, okay, I kind of wish that they handled this episode a little bit better with how Bulldog transforms, but with this Sentai, you got to take what you can get.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're probably gonna get to the bigger stuff in the next episode. So what do we want to give 40 out of 10?
Probably a 6 also.
Yeah.
6.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Okay, cool. All right, let's move on to episode 41, the final part of this, the dangerous couple, where Multiwa, she's walking through the Ohrangers and Gunmajin, and then Bomber the Great, he flees to the Baranoia base, and Multiwa chases him there. Buldont reveals his adult self, and this is when we finally see his adult form. He's still called Buldont, so then we're now calling him Kaiser Buldont instead of Prince Buldont. And for all the Zeo fans out there, this is Prince Gasket. So even though he's the adult form of Prince Sprocket here in Zeo, as Patrick just said, they're two separate characters, Prince Sprocket and Prince Gasket. Don't know why they changed that, but when we eventually review Zeo, I'll talk about how they could have easily done something different, but that's actually going to be a while from now, spoiler. But anyway, so these two, Buldont and Multiwa, and I do want to preface this because this is going to end up being kind of disturbing given something that happens at the end of this episode. Remember, Multiwa is Hysteria's niece. So Multiwa and Buldont are cousins. Please, audience, remember they are cousins because what I'm about to mention at the end of this episode is going to make that really disturbing. Anyway,
I didn't know the Baranoia army originated in Kentucky.
Yeah,
or England.
Yeah.
But anyway, they beat the Baranoia Emperor. That's Bomber the Great into submission. They cut off his arms. They force him to cede the throne to Buldont. Then they dispatch mindless Bomber the Great to Earth. Buldont reveals himself to the Ohrangers. And the Ohrangers, they defeat Bomber the Great and King Pyramid or battle formations. And, he now a thing to note is that the King Pyramidal battle formation is formed in this episode with O blocker instead of the Choriki mobiles. And there's no different formation. The only difference is that when it's formed with the Choriki mobiles, everybody is shown to be in a separate cockpit. While when they do it here, everyone is together in the exact same cockpit. Kind of weird, but I mean, what are you going to do? Buldont unleashes this new missile from Bomber the Great, threatens to destroy the sun, but Gunmajin, being his Deus Ex Machina, he intercepts it. Buldont and Multiwa are declared the Kaiser and Empress of the Baranoia. They get married. We got machine incest in this show, ladies and gentlemen.
Gross.
Or that, which is going to be even more disturbing given what's going to be happening in the end game arc. But
Wow, chicka, wow, wow.
No.
Anthony.
No.
Anthony.
No.
And one more time, just for good measure.
No.
That wasn't a good thing, by the way. I was just making fun of it. That was just how disturbing it is.
And for the rest of us.
Use your aggressive feelings. Let the hate flow through you.
Oh man.
That's how we feel right now about this revelation.
You getting that soundboard was the most dangerous thing you could have done because you have a power problem right now, buddy.
I mean, really?
He's gone mad with power.
Yeah.
Don't make me add the I got the power.
What, He-Man?
No, from the song. That song. I got the power.
Oh.
You don't know that?
No, I was thinking of He-Man.
No, I could have done that too, but yeah. Or the Aladdin anything.
And also cosmic powers.
Yeah.
Itty bitty little living space.
Now I want to go download that BRB.
You know, it's funny. That's like the second time that we mentioned that line on this podcast because that's how I was describing Dog Dead when we did King Oger. So
True.
it's kind of odd that that's the
Yeah.
second time that we mentioned that scene in
damn.
Aladdin.
I think it's hilarious that you remember that.
Yeah. But anyway, so Hysteria is still alive. She's old and rusted because she gave her energy to them. I think she congratulates them. Buldont broadcasts to the Earth that he will conquer the planet. And the episode ends on a pretty cliched note where the Ohrangers vow to keep fighting, even though they know a tough fight awaits them. Ricky is in this episode, but he only appears transformed. Uh, and he's not in the final scene because, once again, he is useless. What do we think about this episode?
I will start by saying, at least Ricky decided to grace us with his presence for a minute.
He finally woke up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it
But
weird
yet-
for me to say that maybe this is the best season of episode of Ohranger?
Better than the first episode?
I think because Buldont shows up here and he brings that atmosphere that the show started with back in full force. He doesn't kill Bomber the Great. He basically turns him into a mind-controlled slave, like he's torturing him. Like this, when Ohranger's at its best, I feel like it's when it's written with morbid intentions behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And how Buldont punishes Bomber the Great here is pretty messed up, actually. It feels like the season almost tried to reset itself right here, too. Like, it tried to get its old footing back to try to stick the landing. And I just appreciate that because the season's been a mess up to this point, thanks to real life implications. This is when the season feels like it's getting itself back to where it wanted to be from the beginning. And I love how the introduction Buldont has here is great. And it's probably my favorite moment in this season.
Agreed.
I can see the logic behind that, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, the only thing that really bothered me, even when I watched this, is the elephant in the room of Multiwa being
the Mississippiism. Yeah.
That I mean, and that's probably the one thing that that the Zio probably did different. I mean, of course, Zio can't do that because it's a kid show in America, but like because in Zio it was more like Archerina was just the daughter of one of King Mondo's old rivals. But I don't know. I mean, you could have just had Multiwa be like this princess who met Buldont and kind of always just wanted to marry him, and then kind of showed up when she realized that he was about to take over the empire or something like that. That probably would have made this a whole lot less disturbing.
You know what? I actually would have done that, but I would have it to where like Multiple was like at first when she sees like as how he looks as a kid, like like go away, I'm gonna want you. And then when he turns into his adult self, now she's like, oh, I'm interested now because you're not, you don't look kid, you're fat. So
I think, all right, something simple. They could have just had like an arranged marriage set up. They could have just worded it that way.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it any better, though.
No, but it would have been a little bit more of like a, okay, well, I can accept that and not be creeped out by it thing. Than
Yeah.
Did. Plus, I mean, royalty tends to do stuff like that all the time anyway.
I mean, they do it in Game of Thrones with the royal family, so yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that aside, I feel like I can see where Patrick is coming from. The like the way that the villain power struggle ends with how Buldont doesn't just kill Bomber the Great, but literally like turns him into a mindless slave and sends him to his death. Like that's brutal stuff. And honestly,
Mhm.
like it's even more brutal than how well, okay, maybe not more brutal because of how like it's probably not quite on par with how insane Radiguet goes when he's like torturing Tronza to like take over power, and then he actually takes over the power. He's like, yeah, but Tronza, I'm not going to kill you. I'm going to let you live so that you can be afraid of me for the rest of your sorry ass life. But it's not as petty as that, but it's still pretty
Yeah,
unsettling.
the Vyram are looking at the Baranoia and like, look at what they have to do to mimic just a small amount of our power.
Invincible
Yeah.
reference.
Yeah, it's your invincible reference.
But again, I mean, it's the best stuff that we're getting in Ohranger. So when you're
Oh
seeing the
yeah,
bar so low, you got to take what you can get.
yeah. I mean, for how shallow this season has been up to this point, this is some really good stuff. So
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
gladly give this episode an 8.
I'll give it
Yeah.
8 too.
Yeah, eight's pretty good. Okay, now we can move on to I mean, we got filler episodes to close out this. We have episode 42, the Sentai's public execution, which is an episode revolving around Doreen and Ricky, where Buldont
Ricky.
captures the main five Ohrangers. He has a scheme to have them executed, and Dorian feels very guilty over them being captured, and she tries to tap into a forbidden power to save them, and that power sends Ricky into a on a savage and mindless rampage. That's all about this episode. What do we think about it?
I feel like this probably should have been part 4.
What do
Because
you
this
mean?
is part 4. It should have been like the final episode of the 3-parter we just got done with. This really establishes how different Bolton is from his father. His first rule as king is merciless manhunting. This feels like this should have been the final episode of the 3-parter we just had as a part 4. Because this is the kind of stuff I like when Ohranger does it. This is
Yeah, I feel that if they gave more of the focus of on Buldont just wanting to
mhm.
capture the Ohrangers, this would have been good. I think the problem here is that they're trying to give Doreen and to a lesser extent Ricky some focus here, and it just doesn't work because I mean,
Yeah.
Doran, you've been around for like almost 20 episodes, and you're just only now feeling that you're useless. I mean, you are useless. Let me make it clear, you are useless, but you feel like you're useless in the as a fighter. Like, why are you all of a sudden feeling useless?
Yeah,
And
That's what I'm
exactly.
saying. Like you've always been useless.
They
That's
are
it.
deterred from giving the primary focus to the villains. And with as good as this Bolton stuff is, that's what's really holding it back. They should be
yeah,
going all in on focusing on Bolton as the highlight of this, but they don't want to.
and it feels like I don't know. Part of me just feels like maybe they realize like, oh, we're almost to the end game arc, and we haven't given Ricky a single focus episode since his debut, and we're running out of and we only got like 2 or 3 more episodes. We can do it before we go into the end game arc. So we got to do something where Ricky is the main character. So let's just do something like this. Like
Yeah.
it that is honestly how it felt like when they wrote this type of thing because they don't do much with Ricky or Doreen. It almost just feels like they made it a episode focusing on them because they felt like they had to, and this was the only episode where they could conceivably make that I don't want to say make it work because it doesn't work, but in their minds, they probably thought they could make it work.
If only they had episodes before this, they could have done that with instead of having him be absent for 50% of the episodes.
Yeah, or I mean, you could have him like I don't know, maybe since he's a bit okay, he's not technically younger. He's older than all the Ohrangers, but he's a bit on the younger side. You could have him like while he's there, maybe develop like a rivalry with Buldont, and then have him play like a big role when Buldont is transformed into an adult form. And then heck, maybe even then you can actually that could be some justification for him being a focus character here because he and Buldont kind of have this personal rivalry going on.
You see, that would work if they didn't already kind of establish that him and Bacchus Wrath had one and then not have him in the episode where he got killed.
Exactly.
Right. This is why we say he's the worst Sixth Ranger. They don't know what to do with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of appears randomly when they remember him.
Yeah, exactly.
He looks goofy with that when he gets that sword, looks really goofy. Like I laughed my butt off when I saw that.
Yeah,
I take him seriously.
But at the same time, the Buldont stuff is pretty good, so I don't want to rank this above under 5. Because Patrick has a point. The stuff with Buldont is genuinely pretty good. If only it was just the main focus of the episode. So
yeah,
it probably either a 5 or a 6. I think is
I'll give
appropriate.
I want to give it a 7.
I'll give it a 7 too.
I was thinking like an 8, but
you're gonna go for an 8? I respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I actually think there's some good points in here. So.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, next up we have episode 43. The trump card is 7 changes. This is a filler episode. It doesn't revolve around anybody in particular, so just a filler episode. Where the Baranoia, they unleash this powerful crystal ball to tempt humans with being restored to their youth, and the Ohrangers try to go undercover to lure the machine beast out. Here's an Easter egg that I personally caught, and the funny thing is they don't mention this on the Ranger Wiki. I just caught it. So the Nita family, one of the recurring characters, one of the recurring supporting character families of this. So they're the family that falls victim to the crystal ball, and there's a point where they fall under the spell and they get turned into like this punk rock type of family. And the daughter of the family, Kiyomi, the outfit that she's wearing is the exact same outfit that Momoko, pink mask, wore in Hikari Sentai Masked Man. And I do say the outfit because Masked Man is one of those Sentai's, that's kind of like a Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force, Mega Force, where they're basically wearing the exact same outfit in every episode. So, yeah, kind of a cool. I mean, kind of weird that Masked Man came out like I want to say 10 years before this Sentai came out, but it still kind of a little bit of a fun fact. So yeah, that's going to be information on this episode. What do we think about this one?
This is just calm before the storm of the finale. Nothing interesting goes on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It I did think that the undercover disguises plot was actually kind of funny, although even then it's not. I've seen funnier ones like that. Like I think it was a lot funnier when they tried to do it in Lightspeed Rescue in that one episode where like Chad was wearing a fake mustache and Joel was trying to pretend to be an old woman.
That was actually a funny episode.
That was a funny episode.
I'm gonna go against the current here because you guys seem to all be like kind of towards it, right?
I am.
But I'm gonna just say I didn't like this one whatsoever. It was actually pretty terrible.
Like what made it egregiously bad?
Egregiously bad to me was just having to endure the lack of sensical transformations of the people going from, hey, I'm a schoolgirl when I'm a old ass woman to I'm gonna wear a diaper. It
That was
didn't fit. Like there's no logic to how the monster's power worked. It was just kind of like, you get to be a kid now. You get to be an old person now. You get to be like a baby. And I didn't like the aesthetics of it either. It felt very grating to me. And maybe just me personally, didn't like it, but it just was very grating.
I can see what you're saying. Yeah, honestly, the scene where I can't remember the dad, but I do remember the scene where the mom all of a sudden transforming into a little kid. I did kind of feel, I don't want to say like totally creeped out, but it was kind of unsettling in a bad way.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I could say about we could all say about this. What do we want to give it out of 10?
3.
For somebody
Kevin.
who said this is you're getting a pretty low grade. I'm kind of surprised.
I mean, it's for Ohranger standards, which is a 3.
Okay, then.
Yeah, I think 3 is appropriate.
Anthony?
Yeah, I'm giving it 3 too.
I see all your 3s, and I'm forced to give it a 1 because of what I said.
I fold.
Yeah, I fold as well.
I had no choice. You did it to me.
Anyway, let's wrap up this batch. We're once again down back to those episodes where we have where it's less than an hour, but hey, I mean it's more than 30 minutes, so there's something. So we have episode 44, The Strongest Beauty on Earth. This is a Momo-centric filler episode where Multiwa uses her beauty to hypnotize the male Ohrangers into working for her. Momo enlists Gunmajin's help in fighting back, which kind of creates some problems. And audience, if you're listening to this, tell me if you haven't heard this one before. Mickey is absent in this episode.
Wait,
oh my god!
Really?
How could he do this? I trusted him
No.
so much.
Yeah.
How could you?
Anyway,
I never thought he could do this to me.
Yeah. Anyway, what do we think about episode 44?
This really does feel like the next episode starts the finale arc and we're just trying to waste time.
Pretty much.
I don't know. I found this episode to be kind of weird because it's trying to hint that, like, oh, Momo and Gunmajin have this, like, close relationship, and Gunmajin thinks that Momo is so cute and wants to help her, and it's like...
This is the only time they've ever really interacted.
Exactly. And I mean... And even if this wasn't the only time that they've interacted, it's not like Gunmajin is a very super complex, interesting character to follow. So that's another strike.
He's Ninja Man without the charm.
Yeah. And then there's like there was a point where the Ohrangers were able to block this attack from Buldont and Multiwa with no explanation. And then there's a point where Multiwa tries to put the spell on Miura, but then Miura's all like, well, I'm an old man, so I'm immune to your charm. And it's like,
what?
Okay, that's not as dumb Deus Ex Machina as when the chip exploded and imprinted all the data on Goro's back, but it is trying to be that stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I kind of laughed a little bit when the 3 male Ohrangers were bringing Multiwa their most prized possessions. Like they had this long love letter, and I think Shohei's was like something that he was like some food that he likes to eat or something. But again, I don't know. It's just a really dumb episode with some stupid Deus Ex Machina stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's why I'd probably give this one probably a 3 as well.
I guess 1 of 3 too.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we are at the end of this batch, ladies and gentlemen, and that gives us good news. In the next podcast, when we return to Ohranger, we will be wrapping up this Sentai. So
Oh, thank God.
that is, yeah, it's definitely something to. But yeah, does anybody else want to give their closing thoughts before we wrap up here and prepare to move into when we return for the end game arc?
No, let's just go do that so I don't have to talk about this show ever again.
I thought Patrick was going to say his trademark. Patrick want out.
Okay. I mean, it's implied. I mean, I can see the exit. I'm just trying to get this roller coaster to move faster.
Good luck.
Well, yeah. But with that said, when we return to Ohranger next time, we will be wrapping this up, and we will finally be able to wash our hands clean of this absolutely boring Sentai, and then move on to some of the good stuff and some stuff that may not be great, but it's at least bad enough to provoke a passionate reaction out of us. So we can look forward to that stuff. But yeah, we hope you guys will join us again when we take a look at the in-game arc for Ohranger. But until then, bye for now. If you enjoyed listening to the Toku Secrets podcast, please check us out at animesecrets.org and follow us on all our social media pages such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And also feel free to check out our other podcasts, including Anime Declassified and the Jedi Squadron. You can also leave us any feedback you'd like to offer us directly on our website. If you're listening to this on Spotify or iTunes, we thank you so much, and please leave us a rating out of 5 stars. If you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed, and leave any comments down below, as we love to take the time to read comments left on our channel and give our fans, shout-outs. If you have any seasons of Super Sentai, Power Rangers, or other Tokusatsu shows that you'd like for us to check out, please don't hesitate to say so in your feedback. With all that said, we thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our podcast, and we will see you next time as we continue our never-ending journey through the world of Tokusatsu. But until that time, you all stay safe, we love you, and may the power protect you.